the simple reason why the mandate is not a tax is because it wasn't labeled as a tax. It doesn't operate the way that a normal tax does. It's clearly something different.
Well, can you just pause for a second? Because we haven't described how the tax does operate. So could you just...
Well, there is no tax.
Well, okay.
So what this does is the mandate is a requirement that every individual, save sort of people who are incarcerated, people who are Native Americans and have sort of a separate plan, and one or two others. Basically, everybody else has to get health insurance. Now, there is a separate provision, which is a penalty, that operates as a penalty against those who do not buy complying insurance. That penalty, which is a little closer to a tax than the mandate, doesn't apply to everybody to whom the mandate applies. It has a separate set of exemptions that are much broader. So there are a lot of people, for example, virtually all the low-income people, that are subject to the mandate. So they have a federal obligation to obtain complying health insurance, but they're not subject to the penalty if they don't. And the penalty does, like any penalty, has the capacity to raise some revenue, but it's not the principal focus of the challenge. It's not the mandate that really has everybody upset. So that's why I think you really need to focus on the mandate. And this gets to Akhil's point from McCullough. What the Chief Justice said in McCullough is that the taxing power is a broad power, and that once you have the government exercising its taxing power, there aren't going to be a lot of mechanisms for the court to limit that power and say this tax is too high, or this excise tax on this product is somehow impermissible. And all of that's fair. And that's why Chief Justice Marshall, wise man that he was, said the principal limit on the taxing power has to be structural and has to be, essentially, the people who are the taxpayers saying, look, we don't want any taxes. And of course, that's exactly what the people said at the time that this health care law was being debated. And it's precisely why, even though in earlier versions, Congress contemplated doing something quite similar by express use of the taxing power, and they backed away from it.